Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to do our Round 8 preview for NRL Fantasy in the 2024 season. So before we get too bogged down into my team, we will have a bit of a look at the most popular trade-ins, trade-outs this week. And number one on the list we've got Reece Walsh. So I guess a popular trade-in option for Kalen Ponga. Personally one I'm not that keen on, just given that I don't think there's a lot of room for growth in his price point and his scoring, particularly given some factors like Adam Reynolds will be back, which means he won't be kicking goals, and just also he's more of that impact type of player. I sort of have him in the Latrell Mitchell kind of category. Definitely a super coach relevant pick, but probably in that sort of second tier in terms of fantasy fullbacks with those high work rates, the big running meters, tackle breaks, those sorts of features. So I can see why people want to bring him in, but I think there is potentially better options if you are looking for a keeper fullback option, or wing fullback option, I should say. Nico Hines at number 2. I mean, I can't argue with that. I have had him all season, captained him last week. It was absolutely cheering. So I guess if he has found a bit of form, probably strengthened by the fact that Braden Trindle is out this week with the little DUI type issue. So if you're looking to bring in a gun in your halves to replace Ponga, Nico Hines is a great option. David Armstrong at number 3 and Ko Weeks at number 4. So very similarly, I guess, in terms of percentage change. So I think, that order is correct. I've got Armstrong slightly above Ko Weeks, and I guess it's just the familiar role. We know that Armstrong is slotting in for Ponga, and he has the job security, at least the short to medium term. Obviously if he flops, then it might not be a long-term thing, but from all reports, and I do remember his name coming up a bit in the preseason trial as one to watch. So I think, he's probably if you're going to pick one, I think he is the one. But obviously Ko Weeks offers, nice value as well. Good job security, I would seem, with Fogarty out long term. So both of them are fine. And I think Armstrong just over Weeks is also correct. Nathan Cleary at number 5, again, makes sense. He's back from injury. Set and forget sort of operator, even through Origin. He's probably a player you can, afford to carry because in those weeks in between, he usually backs up and, still scores well. Jerome Hughes, so I guess people going a bit left of field, away from a Hines and Cleary. Jerome Hughes probably does offer that alternative, does play through the Origin period, given that he is from New Zealand. Doesn't kick goals is his only sort of downside, I suppose. So obviously, that does limit his potential for scoring by, 8 to 10 points in any given week. So, not the worst shout, but I mean, if you've got Hines and Cleary, and, I probably have Hughes 3rd or even 4th maybe behind Sean Johnson. If you've got the funds, you could absolutely bring him in. Max Plath at number 7, I believe. Probably a bit overpriced in fantasy for my liking. He's not going to score 2 tries every week. Does offer dual position, nice Origin coverage, but I think just, not as much value as some other picks at the moment. Jai Gray, probably another one in that category of, he is cheap, but he's got 2 tough games and then he'll probably be out of the team. So very limited, I think, in terms of his upside. And there's probably better cheap options this week in Armstrong, Weeks. And he doesn't feature on this list, but I'd also have Sanders above Gray, just with that slightly longer job security. Sean Bloor, I can't sort of begrudge anyone bringing him in, as I have brought him in and been very happy since I've done so. Kale Ero, I guess there's always a bit of question about his job security. So is there the value in bringing him in at this point, given that he is now at 366k. Break even of one suggests maybe a bit, but I guess just looking at that, his scores are on a somewhat downward trajectory. So just be mindful of that. And as we said, there's always that ever looming danger of um, Talakai coming back into the starting team. Payne Haas, I think if you can afford him, to bring him in, I think perfect sort of trade option for Callum Ponga if you've got cover in your wing fullbacks. You bring in, say, an Armstrong or a Weeks as your downgrade. Slot Payne Haas in your middle, and that's a perfect sort of move for me. Trey Fuller, don't hate the pick. Probably a little bit expensive, but I can see why people would do it to take that bit of value that he's got. And obviously, assuming Hammer gets back in time and is fit, plays Origin, then Fuller will get a bit more game time during that period. Zach Lomax, I think, it's probably one that I've thought is a bit expensive in Supercoach, and 693, probably not quite there for it. He is averaging 51, break even at 37 is nice. But I guess looking at this, he's scored 6 tries. I can't add that well apparently. Um, yeah, I don't know if that's sustainable, particularly moving to the centres. So I think there will be a regression at some point. Um, so just something to, I guess, be mindful of there. Sean Johnson. So I think another gun half. We don't hate that. Is playing with a bit of an injury though, so just be mindful of that if you bring him in. It may be a bit underwhelming until he can sort the foot out. And Xavier Willison, I think with Payne Haas coming back, and also they've named an extra forward on their bench, it probably means that his cash generation and value is going to soar for a bit. Still a valuable option to hold through the Origin period if you've got him, but I wouldn't be trading in. And then on their trade out list, Ponga and Fogarty, top two for obvious reasons, both out long term injuries, both got a lot of cash on their head, so absolutely makes sense. Ben Travojevic, he's still a few weeks away, so if you wanted to, get one of these cheap options in for him, I think that's fine. Kyle Flanagan, I think, has done his job, so that's fine. Jamin Salmon's got a bit of money still to make, and if you can hold him this week, he will offer really good Origin buy coverage. So something to be mindful of there with any of those Bulldogs type picks. I can see Josh Curran, Sam Hughes on the list. Obviously, if you're a bit like me and got all three, you may have to make a bit of a choice, but yeah, I'd try and hold as much as we can. Talangi, I think we can trade out for one of the bottom dollar cheapies that we've got fallen into our laps this week, so that's fine. Joey Lussick, so I guess a bit of a lower score in fantasy than Supercoach, which sort of means his cash generation is probably done, and I'm going to trade him out this week just to preview what's ahead. Ezra Mam, I think he's out injured from memory. Won't say here, will it? Probably not. But I guess, these scores at the start of the year probably sort of dictate what we think about him. He has got a nice break even, so I guess maybe if you've got him at that price, you may want to hold and just get that last bit of cash before moving him on. Hughes already touched on Cobbo. Must be out injured, so in that case, yep, you can get rid of him. Hammer, if you've still got him, I think is a trade out. Flegler, if you've still got him, is a trade out, particularly, bring in Payne Haas. Terrell May, yep, happy to trade him out for Haas. Totola, same sort of deal. So those are the most popular trade options. So in terms of my team this week and trades, I guess the glaring issue I've got is I've got a few Bulldogs players. So we just need to do some swaps here, get Murray on field. Let's get Bostock on field, let's say. Swing Salmon down for Stewart. And just get Curran in there for clear. So we do have 17 playing this week. As you can see, we've got 4 dogs all on the bye. But as I said, I'm pretty keen to hold, like Sam Hughes, Jamin Salmon, still got a bit of value in their price points. I think they're both got break evens in the teens. And obviously, particularly Salmon covers two positions. And they'll play round 13, 14, 16, 17 for us, which is super handy. I think the only one they miss that's an origin type round will be round 19. And even then, we only need 13 on field. So, um, or I think it's, yeah, 13 on field. So, I don't think we need to stress too much about carrying these guys, particularly this week. And then they're going to become super valuable. So, I guess really all we're looking at is where we can upgrade our 17 that we've got. And if we have a look, obviously Harry Grant is a keeper, at least until Origin. We may have to shift him out just to make sure we've got numbers. We do have a hooker, as I've alluded to already. Willison, I think, is going to offer a bit of coverage during Origin with Haas and Carrigan, probably playing less minutes. Ruben Cotter is probably one that I'll keep till Origin and then probably, shift to a buy covering player. Cam Murray, similar sort of deal. He is going to lose a bit of money, so there is an argument to trade him out this week. And it's definitely something I'm considering, but I guess at the same time, we could potentially save a trade and hope that he bounces back to this sort of value in time for Origin. Fini Fuiaki's got some cash to make. Sean Bloor, I'm pretty happy just to keep in the team as a season long pod type keeper. Not sure what his ownership is, 6%. That's beautiful for me as an owner. Hines, keeper, no need to worry about trading. Galvin's got money to make. Eero's got money to make still. Ethan Stranger could consider trading out, but I do want to just have a look at his role now that he's partnered with KO Weeks in the halves. If he becomes the dominant half, then he probably becomes a keeper in our centre spot. Tommy Travojevic is a keeper until Origin. Paps, probably a keeper, even through the first Origin game when the Storm do cover 13 and 14. Bostock is possibly a hold through Origin, or the whole Origin period, given the Dolphins do play 13, 16, 19. Joey Lussick, he's the one I am happy to trade out, so we do have one option there. Chevy Stewart, will give him a chance to try and make us a bit more money than 8K. Should get the goal kicking from Fogarty, which is a little bonus, but I guess obviously there might not be the most goal kicks if their attack isn't generating points. Tommy Chester's still got some value and covers the first Origin period well. And Nathan Cleary, we've held on to him all this time. We're not trading him out now that he's back. So realistically, we've only really got Lussick that we're going to look at trading out. And I guess based on the logic of what I discussed before, I think the number one trading target this week would be Armstrong. Like I said, I'm happy to have a look at KO Weeks this week. Happy to have a look at Sanders this week too. I think he can play a fairly dominant half type role. But obviously, being young and on debut does take some time for halves to get up and about. But we do also have our Lockie Galvins of the world that fire up. But he's still making money. So if it looks like Galvin's going to start peaking in a couple of weeks, Sanders is on a run, or even KO Weeks goes well, easy sort of trade to make a couple of 100K next week. But we do then end up with 406K. So, the question is, do we, sort of stop mucking around with a Cotter or a Murray and just go to, one of the elites? So I guess by elite, if I get rid of that arm there, we're talking Isaiah Yeo, Payne Haas, Carrigan, Hopgood. They're probably, like the three targets I would love to get to. Obviously, Yeo and Haas are nailed on, I'd imagine, for Origin. I think Hopgood is a good chance of that too. So the question is, do we waste a trade for someone that we probably need to not cover or need to cover in Origin? So probably not looking at that so much. But then I guess we think about, well, these guys are still making money, which is nice. But, if we can get from Sam Hughes plus, 400K, it sort of doesn't quite get us to the elite level. So probably not worth a trade there. Maybe Salmon. Salmon we could get 831. So Yo and Haas out of reach, but we could go with the Jermaine Hopgood potentially. Sort of same sort of coverage. But I think, like we said, Salmon's playing in round 13. So, and Hopgood is a chance of origin. So realistically, I don't know if I'm going to make another move this week. The player might actually beat up the hold trades. We don't have to make trades every week. It says 22 here. Just keep in mind you do get an extra 8 trades after round 20. So I guess, these trades have to last us through to the end of the origin period, essentially. Um, but I guess if we can save 2 trades this week, in a sense, where some people might be correcting, we're not going to have a fantastically hot team this week, given our bench is going to have, looks like 3 wing fullbacks on it. Not great. Um, but as we said, the Bulldogs guys are valuable. Pretty much everyone else in this team has some sort of value for the short to medium term. Um, and if we can save trades now, that sort of means when we get to round 13, the first Origin game, I'm pretty sure we'll get 4 trades from that time on. So it's going to be easy to swing Cotter, Murray, um, Tommy Travojevic, to the likes of a Sean Johnson who might have recovered from his foot. Tohu Harris is obviously in the conversation. Um, but I guess until that time, it's probably worth holding these guys. You never know what injuries are going to occur. Sort of bolts from the blue for Origin team, that sort of thing. So I think it's probably beneficial to hold where you can. But obviously, we do want to get Cleary into our starting lineup to form part of the captaincy, vice captaincy shout. Um, and I am leaning towards going the C on Cleary. Obviously Nico has a nice matchup against the Raiders, but I guess I've backed him in the other formats as captain. So maybe just hedging my bets a bit in case he blows up. At least our fantasy rank won't be too impacted. Um, or maybe we just double down and go it. I'm not sure. Don't know. Can't decide. But I guess we could sit and ponder it all night. But let's get the video done and out there. So let's lock it in. Cleary captain this week. Um, we've held on to him for that long just to reward him for a job well done. But we'll have a look at the league real quick. We're playing Wakey's Wombats this week. So just having a look. He's got Joey Lussick in at hooker. Does he have another option on the bench? Brendan Smith. So, I mean, yeah, okay. I think we'll back Harry Grant to cover whoever he starts there. Sam Hughes is on the bye. Who's he got to cover in the middle? I guess it could be Brandon Smith. It could be Xavier Wilson. So I think maybe got a. Oh, I guess we've got Wilson there. So that would be a wash. And I think Cotter and Murray I'm happy with over Smithies and May. Second row I'm a little bit scared of, but I guess we got these guys as potential sort of upside plays, so that's fine. Got Jamal Fogarty, so obviously there'll be a trade there. Doesn't look like he's been carrying, so I guess probably consider our halves a little bit stronger. Got Tom Chester on the bench anyway, so I'm not too worried about Ethan Strange. He could very well end up on the bench too, so centers are matching. And then Pappenhausen, and then Ponga and Kiraz he needs to cover. So it looks like there might be a little bit of an issue at wing fullback. Could slide Chester down, Strange in, and then maybe just trade Ponga to whoever you want. But pretty happy with, it's an extended wing fullback. But, I guess if we look at the outs in total, we've got Hughes, Fogarty's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's probably having to do 3 trades just to get 17 on the park, which I'm very happy I didn't have to. So especially like all these injury signs, I'm so glad I've dodged them. I just noticed Fogarty and Ponga both in the team that would have stung last week. So good luck, Mark. We'll see how we go. But I think that's all we really need to discuss at this point. So we'll wrap the video up there. As always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the NRL fantasy content. Subscribe for all of the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.